one of the most effective and sustainable ways to drop a harmful habit, especially addiction, is not by removal alone, but by replacement. Because the nervous system is wired around familiarity. It is wired around repetition and reward. So if you simply remove a habit, even one that harms you, without replacing it, then you create a void. And the brain hates voids. It will either pull you back to the old behavior because it's familiar, or it will spiral into withdrawal, into confusion, and emotional dysregulation. You know. And here's why replacement works. Number one, it gives your nervous system a new path. And not just a new path, a healthier one to follow. Number two, it reduces the anxiety of loss. Because you're not losing something, you're gaining something new. Number three, it activates neuroplasticity. The brain starts creating new connections and patterns. And lastly, number four, it aligns you with forward motion. Because you're not just trying to stop, you're also trying to become. You know, many people fail to overcome addiction because they try to replace a harmful habit with something too similar. Like, for example, switching from alcohol to weed. That only transfers their addiction. It doesn't heal it. The real transformation happens when you replace the addiction with something unfamiliar but growth aligned. You know, something that feels uncomfortable at first because it requires a new version of you to sustain it. And there are two very good examples for addiction. And this is cold exposure and martial arts. You know, like let's say someone is addicted to alcohol, not just for substance, but for the relief, for the dopamine, and the escape it gives. Instead of simply trying to quit alcohol, which can feel like deprivation, then they should choose those two replacements. Because cold exposure, this is like cold showers or even ice baths. Cold exposure teaches regulation under discomfort. You know, it rewires the nervous system to choose calm under stress, which mimics the numbing effect alcohol gives, but in a healthier way, in an empowering way. On the other hand, martial arts, which is like jiu-jitsu, boxing, those two are pretty much very good. You know, martial arts teaches us focus, it teaches humility, it teaches embodiment, and it teaches discipline. It replaces self-destruction with self-mastery and activates the same reward system. That is dopamine from challenge, from achievement, from community, and even growth. Over time, the person begins to associate discomfort with growth instead of avoidance. They start feeling pride instead of shame. They start gaining clarity rather than sedation, you know, because it builds a new identity. You're now like, I'm someone who shows up for myself. Addiction is a bond, often to pain, to escape, or even identity. You know, you don't just break a bond, you replace it with something stronger and more aligned. That's how you heal, not through punishment or shame, but through reorientation and intention. Replace the familiar escape with an unfamiliar discipline, and you will meet the version of you that addiction was keeping buried. My people, heal. Heal.